So here my base mesh that we are done with in a previous lesson. I use a texture palette to import my silhouette. I will include it in project files. Now I'm centering my mesh. I will use my silhouette just like a reference. With inflate brush, I'm inflating my mesh. I'm trying to match my reference closer. Using move brush, I am just try to go along with my silhouette. It's no need to be perfect. Here I'm just making a rough shape. I'm care only about main forms. My only brushes here is my move brush, my inflate brush. You can see I'm using clay builder brush because my mesh is kind of flat. I need to add some volume. I am adding a volume to arms, to my body, to the shoulders. Just adding a clay, something like this. So right now adding volume to body, to the back of the arms, to my front, head, kind of giving a shape to my head, giving a shape to my arms. So I'm using back face masking because I don't want my mesh to be kind of penetrating from another side. Here I'm redynamize my mesh again. I try to find right value. Now I'm adding a little bit clay to the head, to the back. I don't try to smooth a lot at this point. I just use a negative ability of my clay builder brush, just holding Alt to scratch some clay, decrease the volume. So now I'm using my reference that I made before. Now I'm working with my dim standard brush. I'm just carving pectoral muscles, carving shapes of the shoulders, abdominal muscles. If you want to do something like this, you should find some good references. It could be photos, maybe some scans. I really encourage you to have some scans because I think they are more helpful than just photo. So now I'm kind of do a rough block out of my arms, my traps, spine. Adding a volume. Here I'm adding a volume to the LEDs. I just try to build my main shapes using clay builder brush. There is no need to go ahead for details. We can do this in later stages. So about my base mesh. As you can see, I start from a mannequin, but you can start from whatever you want. You can use your own base mesh, you can use cylinder, you can use a sphere, whatever you want. It doesn't matter. So back to my model. I'm just carving shapes with my dim standard brush, adding volume to the shoulders with clay builder brush. So yeah, my shoulders have some shapes already. Also, I should mention that I using a software that called PureRef. I encourage you to have one. You can download it for free, or you can donate some tips to developers. So yeah, because I'm using standard Microsoft video capture software, it's not gonna capture my PureRef screen, but I will include my reference library into the project. So now I'm just adding a volume with a Klebila brush. I scrap back a volume that I don't need with a negative Klebila brush, just holding Alt. So right now I'm sculpting forearm, giving some shape to the muscles. Mostly with Klebila brush. I'm adding a volume, fixing proportion of my arm with move brush, looking at my model at every possible angle, using move brush to give some good shape to my body, adding middle line to my abdominal area, adding a volume to it, looking to my model from a side. So right now you can see my model have some rough shapes. It's not just flat mesh that we have from the beginning. Little by little it takes a shape. Here just working on the neck. Now I'm kinda sculpting a head, some neck, some face structure, back of the head. I'm using Control Alt and click at the head, because a head have a different polygroup. I can just select it and use it without the rest of the body, so it's very helpful. So now I'm refining some shapes of the face, giving some indentations to the eyes, to the chin, some nose. Because this dude gonna wear a mask, we don't need to sculpt face really detail it. So now I'm sculpting traps, just adding a mess. With my move brush I fixing my hands, carving with damp standard brush. Adding a volume with Klebila brush. Adding some muscle separations. Working on the lats. Adding some volume. Adding a volume to my lower back. Carving some obliques. using my move brush to fix my silhouette, shape of the muscles, carving my lats from the front, adding some kind of muscle indentations. So right now I'm feeling my model is too thin. I made it thicker with my Gizmo 3D. With my move brush I'm kinda tweaking my silhouette, proportion, kinda making armpit here. Just carving serratus muscles. Just some rough indentation of it. Adding a volume to abdominal area. To obliques. Moving my mesh with my move brush. What I should mention is my move brush. I use it with some low intensity. It's giving me a feeling like I'm moving actually a clay, not some weird substance. Now I'm using my move brush just to fix my shoulders, carving them with damn standard brush. So back to my model. Here I'm carving some neck indentations. Working on an armpit. Working on the back of my hand, on the triceps. Adding some bone landmarks. Now I'm working on a short head of the triceps, just adding separations with damn standard brush, adding a volume with clay brush. Fixing a long head of the triceps, short head. And always I'm looking at my references. It's really important. Adding some muscle separations of my forearms. Blocking fists. Just adding a volume. Here I'm working on my arm. Carving some muscle separations. Try to make a transition a little bit better. Adding some bone indentations. using move brush, fixing my silhouette. Now I'm working on my forearm muscles. I'm trying to achieve some good main forms. I'm using a Klebila brush. Now I'm adding some separations between shoulders and pecs. Working on the traps. On the lats, working on the lats. Adding some muscle separations. Now I'm adding the shoulder blades. Refining lats, lower back. Using them standard brush to carve for muscles. Still refining lats. I'm trying to find some good muscles proportions, just to try to have a good feeling about my sculpt. Now I'm just refining my silhouette with smooth brush. Try to look at every possible angles. Now I'm working on a back with my clay builder brush, gem standard brush, of course using move brush to achieve a good silhouette. And this is all for this chapter.